Welcome back. So, finally, that massive Bedford shopping trip is coming to an end, and this will be our last video about that shopping trip. As I mentioned last time, I paid just over $100. I got around 25 items, so I'm looking at, under $5 a piece, actually at 25 items, $4 a piece on average. Definitely some good deals. So when we get back, we'll just get right back into it. So, back on the second floor of Bedford, finally, not Paul's booth. This is another booth that I go into. It's an interesting place, but again, as shoppers, we need to be able to quickly identify the booths where we know we'll get good deals on some things, even if it means that not everything is priced, well, what I would call sensibly. This booth is one of those, so let's take a look. Pigs. These are little pig banks. $5 a piece, 25% off. And I always think of this as the pig booth because I have gotten some very interesting little pigs in here. Here, perhaps you'll recall these little pigs. They were here when I bought another set of little pigs, took them home with me, and I mentioned these were staying behind. Lobster, cast iron. That's $10. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a paperweight because it's heavy. We have a little $3, let's get over here, $3 elephant, trunk up. Good luck. Let's see what the crab, the crab appears to be cast iron as well. $10. Tiny little plate. Well, here it is in my hand. $10. Not so sure that's such a good price. We also have a few more little critters, a hippopotamus, I'm guessing. This appears to be wood. $10. Ooh, $4. A very pretty little pink depression glass. I'm going to say it's a creamer because despite the lines, I'm pretty sure it's not a measuring cup. I'm going to check this one for damage. At $4, if there's no damage, it will definitely come home with me because look at that. Very Art Deco lines. So, $4, yeah. Yes, that's the pig booth. And I always call it the pig booth because there are pigs there, all kinds of pigs. There were a lot of Halloween decorations there too, and I'm going to keep an eye open next year for their Halloween decorations in particular. And I'm pretty sure this is the same booth where I found that giant 6-foot paper mache parrot. That was really interesting stuff there. I mean, just how do you even wrap your head around that? Little pigs, paper mache parrots, who knows? All kinds of fascinating stuff there. Some things, the little cast iron paperweights, that tiny little plate, $10 a piece. No, I look at that and say, no, thank you, I'll move on. But that beautiful pink depression glass creamer with those great Art Deco lines, and that's like less than half the price of these strange little, cast iron lobster, I think, paperweights. I'm not really sure what one uses a cast iron lobster for. And keep in mind, I'm from New England. I like little lobster things. They're all over the place in New England, but not something I've seen before and not something I feel a burning need for in my life. That little Art Deco creamer, on the other hand, oh yeah, definitely I felt a burning need for that. So that did come home with me. And then, as I was heading out, I went through another one of Paul's cubbies. So let's take a look at that. Well, I was prowling around another one of Paul's little cubbies. And his cubbies, as you can see, are not for the faint of heart or the claustrophobic. And this is a beautiful little Japanese plate in the Noritake style. It's Chikara-machi, which makes sense because, as I say, these companies were all staffed basically by the same employees. They poached from one another all the time. But of course, in Japan, that's just not the way it's seen. So a worker might be working at the Noritake factory one day, the Chikara-machi factory the next, and nobody finds that odd or unusual. Very pretty piece. What are we looking at? Around 9 or 10 inches, I would say. Someone had hung it on a wall previously, which for my purposes is very convenient because that means it didn't get a lot of use or wear. Price $6. Oh my, yes. Well, Paul has cubbies all over the second floor, little tiny alcoves, little areas that are blocked off by bookcases, and you really have to be able to scramble just to get in there, and then scramble even more to get things off shelves. But I find it worth it. That little Chikara-machi plate, and it is the Noritake style, but Chikara-machi was the company that made it. And although I often say, don't worry too much about the factory names, there are a few that carry a little more weight with collectors than others. I'm not really sure why. As I say, they were all drawing their artists and their ceramists from the same small pool of artisans. So somebody would be working for Chikara-machi one day, for Noritake the next, for Mieto the next. And that was just normal for them. For all I know, it's still normal in Japan. A small country, and they don't tend to look at poaching employees the same way we do in the West. I think we must just be much more territorial about that sort of thing. But that was a really nice plate. And whenever you see plates like this that have wall hanging apparatus on them, you can almost always be fairly sure that if the plate was hanging on a wall, it was not seeing a lot of wear or use. It will be in really good vintage or antique condition, as this one is, because someone popped it up on the wall, which meant it wasn't getting handled, it wasn't getting used, it wasn't getting skittered across a table. So that is a really nice little piece. And I wanted you also to actually see one of Paul's little cubbies because, as I said, you cannot be claustrophobic and go into any of his booths. It will really start to so make you feel sort of closed in. But he has incredible stuff there. While I was in that particular cubby, I saw a really pretty chocolate set in a style I don't see very often. So I thought we'd like to take a look at that. Now, I don't know if I've showed you this chocolate set. Noritake, we've got our pot in the back, 5 cups, 6 saucers. That is something we have discussed. Invariably these days, those old chocolate sets show up with only 5 cups, where, as you can clearly tell from the saucers, they were originally intended to have 6. Still, it's very nice. I believe it's $35. It is not coming home with me, but nevertheless, very nice piece, very nice hand-painted Noritake designs. Gorgeous piece. If someone wants that, $35 is a very good price. Yeah, I am much more accustomed to seeing pastel flowers or very Asian designs, or very European designs, again, pastel flowers, or 18th century men and women out in the bower, that whole romantic thing. These were just bright and lively and just, very, very striking. Now, that's not to everybody's taste, but keep in mind the people who are going to gravitate toward those bright sort of Monet style flowers in these brilliant colors are not going to give a second look to the little pale pastel pieces coming in from Bavaria. So it just shows you everybody can find their own style in porcelain. Whatever your taste is pushing you to, there's something out there for you. That was a really pretty set. But as I've said many times, when you see chocolate sets today, you invariably see a pot and 5 cups. Originally, it was a pot and 6 cups, and something has happened to one of the cups. So, if you don't have a problem with 5 cups, or if you're okay with 4 cups, you can get really good deals on these. When you find chocolate sets that are going for premium prices, it's almost invariably because they have all the cups. I've seen them with 6, I've seen them with 8, I've even seen them with 12 cups for the larger sets. Those are the ones that really go for serious money. But anyway, I thought you'd like to take a look at that just to see that there are other styles out there other than, what I've shown you thus far. And it's not that I failed to show you what's out there. It's just that I don't see very many like this. So it's worth noting. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah. Well, when I went upstairs to the 2nd floor, headed right for the staircase and didn't look around much. When I came back down, look what was waiting for me right at the foot of the stairs. So I was just coming down from the 2nd floor. Here are the stairs right behind me. And look who I see. This dreadful doll again, totally different shop. She is turning up like a bad penny. I'm not 100% sure it's the same doll. I'm going to have to go check that other booth and see if it is. It really frightens me to think there's more than one of these around. Yes, eek! It's back! And all I could think of is, oh my goodness, Chucky. This horrid little doll was just sitting at the foot of the stairs as if she had been waiting for me. Oh, Well, I've already given you my opinion on the doll, so I'm not going to do that again, mostly because I'm afraid I'm going to break down and end up using bad language. Um, Not my cup of tea at all. I find that just offensive, derogatory, and dismissive to an entire race of people. Eek. I couldn't believe that was what I ran into. I did go back and check the booth where I originally found it, and it wasn't there. So I think this is the same doll. But at this point, I don't want to get too close, so I'm not touching the doll. It's like I sort of skitter past it and say, stay away from me. I don't know why you showed up here, but please just don't let it be because you're following me around the store. So, eek. But anyway, I got a chuckle out of that in a sort of disturbed, Chucky's back kind of way. When I was leaving, because I actually had to get out of the store at that point, my bus was coming, I walked by a table, and I filmed the table, but what I didn't mention, which I should mention, is a few months ago, I got this large geisha-ware tea set. This is the same booth that tea set came from. So just to give you a little context. So let's take a look at what I saw there. Well, I was wandering past a table on my way to another booth and found this. Let's see what our price is here. There we go. $4. It's a Japanese vase in somewhere between the Satsuma and the geisha-ware style. I would be reluctant to actually say it was one or the other. It's in good condition, nice price. Somebody obviously went to some trouble to take care of it, and it's coming home with me. Well, this was just such an odd little piece, somewhere between geisha-ware and Satsuma. And it's a nice piece. Don't get me wrong. It's just that for me, when I look at Asian porcelain, I sort of drop it into categories in my mind. And seeing a piece like that reminds me that just because I have all these little specific categories in my mind does not mean that Asian art, well, it's like any other art. Art is fluid, and things don't always fit neatly into one little category. But what I wanted to mention, because of that piece, when I picked it up and showed you the bottom, you probably noticed some green felt on the bottom. And I thought I would just mention green felt and felt pads and little feet and that as a general category. When I get an item that has an applied felt pad or a little stuck on foot or anything like that that someone has put on the piece later, when I clean the piece, I remove it. No two ways around it. It is gone. Pieces like these little felt strips, especially those, because you could see someone had just sort of cut that out by hand and shoved it on. That was not originally a part of the piece. So when I clean a piece, I want to get right down to the original piece. So anything like that, I get rid of. I have no qualms about it. I don't care who put it on. I can clearly see it's a later addition. I might replace it. Now, I keep little felt and rubber and acrylic feet and pads I buy them in packs of 50, 80, whatever. I go on eBay and I'll just say, oh, I like those little feet, and I'll just order them in, because invariably I have a whole basket full of these things. And when I go to Michael's, I invariably stop by their little felt square section. You can usually buy felt squares at places like Michael's for about $1, and it's usually about a 10 by 10 square of felt. I can get them with applied adhesive or just plain felt. Right now I have a bunch of applied adhesive. I usually grab some in green, some in black, and I will replace them if I think it's appropriate. So if, for example, I've gotten my hands on a lamp that probably originally had a nice green felt bottom, most older lamps did, I will remove that, because by the time it hits my hands, the felt is shot. It's no good anymore. It needs to be removed and replaced. I don't look at that as anything different than rewiring the lamp, because after all, if I have a lamp and it's not wired up to Underwriter Laboratory specifications, I really don't want anybody plugging it in the wall. And if it's got ratty, torn felt, I really don't want them putting that on their fine furniture either. So I will do that without any concerns whatsoever about the integrity of the piece, because I consider this in a different category. It's in the same category in my mind as changing out the light bulb or changing the wiring, just something that is necessary to make the piece function properly. I suppose there are purists out there who would say, oh no, leave that filthy old ratty felt on it. It's like, okay, no thank you. So with that little Satsuma vase, I'm going to remove it. Maybe I will put something on it, maybe I won't. It depends on what's underneath. If the bottom is really chewed up, and sometimes bottoms on especially Asian porcelain could be very rough. If it's so rough, I think it would be hazardous for someone to put that on a fine piece of furniture. Yes, there is a very good chance I will replace it. I'll do a better job. I really will. But when you are buying something, my advice is, if something like that doesn't work for you, get rid of it. If you have small children coming into your house, absolutely get rid of it, because you have no idea where this felt has been, and you just don't want the baby picking that up and shoving it in their mouth. I can't think of anything more horrifying than the thought of a toddler sucking on felt that heaven only knows where it's been for the last 100 years. So get rid of it. It's so easy to replace it, even if you don't feel you have any skill at this at all. You go to Michael's, you get yourself one of the self-stick sheets of felt. It's $1. Drop your piece on, draw a circle, get your scissors, cut it out, slap it on. Just that simple. No need to have anything in your home that could be carrying heaven only knows what kind of filth on it. And yet, I am a bit of a germaphobe, I will admit. Frankly, it's 2020. We're all germaphobes now, even if we weren't in 2019. But just no need to take unnecessary chances with your family's health and safety. Something that is bound to be a germ magnet. Remove it, replace it if you like, but just get rid of it. All right, next up, same little booth. Okay, same little booth. 2 pair of salt and pepper shakers, German. Good condition on this pair. This one, this little guy, is in great shape, and this little guy has some damage. Total price is $6. I'm not overwhelmingly concerned about the damage on this piece. I can certainly repair it, and if I decide it's not worth the trouble of repairing it, I have its little friend who would make a very nice topper for a Tidbit tray. And I still have the larger set. So I think we're going to take those as well. Well, those salt and pepper shakers were of a style that I immediately recognized as German because a few weeks ago I just got some very similar salt and pepper shakers, German, and they're old too. These are not modern pieces. So $6, I thought that was a great bargain because in addition to the larger set, I have the 2 little ones. I can easily repair the one with the chip under its beak. It's not going to be a big issue. And as I said, if I don't want to repair it, its little friend will sit on top of a Tidbit tray. The interesting thing is, and I hope you noticed, the smaller set, even though it was the same style, was lusterware. I see a huge amount of Japanese lusterware here, not a lot of German or Czech. Well, I see a lot of Czech lusterware too, not a lot of German lusterware. And German lusterware is actually very pretty. After a while, if you see a lot of lusterware, after a while you can look at it and you can say, that's Japanese, that's German. They worked in different colors, and the Germans, also the Czechs to some extent, more so the Germans, had this wonderful gradation of color. They would start off with a pink and sort of ease into a cream or a blue. Beautiful, beautiful work. If you just look at those color changes, I find it lovely. Salt and pepper shakers, that was a really good buy because, as I say, they are old and because I don't see very many of them. So I like to be able to add something really different when I'm throwing salt and pepper shakers in my Etsy shop. Most of them, in fact, I would say the overwhelming majority of them, are Japanese. Next up is American. And then finally, at the very end, is German. And I probably see 40 or 50 Japanese salt and pepper shaker sets for every one German set I see. So when I find them, I do grab them. And remember my rule, birds sell. Okay, so finally we are at the end of the Bedford Christmas Eve shopping. And you can see what I was saying about the deals are there. The sellers are moving out their inventory. They want to take advantage of Christmas shoppers. They want to clear off their books for the new year. Right now, while you are watching this video, this is a great time to hit your local antique mall because this is the time when you're just going to be wallowing in the sales. All right, have a terrific day. I will see you all next time.